So last week we talked about whether or not the Switch or the Wii U had better marketing, and a question that I posed at the end of that video was, what would it take for you to go out and buy a Switch? What would it take for Nintendo to sell a Switch to you? And a lot of people brought up the launch games and how they weren't very great. So this week I want to compare the launch titles for the Switch and the launch titles for the Wii U and take a deeper look at which system had a better lineup. So let's start with the system that I'm excited for right now. Here are the launch titles for the Nintendo Switch. We have 1-2 Switch, Breath of the Wild, Skylanders, Super Bomberman R, Just Dance 2017, and Binding of Isaac. These are our physical releases. Now for the digital only releases we have Am Setsuna, World of Goo, Little Inferno, and Snipperclips. And Snipperclips isn't 100% confirmed to be launch day. I have a pretty good feeling that it is, but it's gonna be in that window. I don't wanna go too far into digital right now. Am Setsuna does look incredible and I really do wanna play that, but I just don't feel like, at least for me personally, that digital games are ever gonna sell a system. I don't think you could put a system out bare naked with no physical games to look at, no pretty cases on the shelf and pick and take one home and just say, well, it's got a bunch of digital games you can buy once you get home. I don't think digital is ever gonna sell a system. So let's not talk about that right now, as fantastic as Am Setsuna looks. We'll forget about that, and excuse me for breezing on past that, but let's focus on the physical games. So we have 1-2 Switch and Super Bomberman R are the two big ones apart from Breath of the Wild. I don't think either of these are console sellers. 1-2 Switch should have been included with the Switch. When you make a gimmicky system like this, Nintendo, I think they know that having a pack-in game really helps. It really helps to sell the system, it really helps people to learn the controls, learn the new gimmicks, get a feel of the system, realize, hey, this is pretty cool, the things this system can do are awesome, let me go out and buy some more games so I can use these cool features in other video games. I think having a pack-in is a really great idea, but I do think they also wanted to keep the price down for the system, which is probably why it didn't have a pack-in game this time. And also 1-2 Switch looks like it had a lot of effort, a lot of energy, and a lot of love put into it, as much as you can put love into a game like this to try and make it fun and exciting. So I think just passing it off as a free title, a pack-in game, probably wouldn't have done it justice, and they wouldn't have been able to put as much effort into it as they would have liked, knowing they weren't gonna be selling this game, it was gonna be a free game. So I kind of get why they did that, but I'm still kind of hesitant to view it anything less than Nintendo Land, anything less than Wii Sports, and I don't really see myself going out and picking this up personally, so it's not a selling point for me. Super Bomberman R, on the other hand, while I don't think that alone could sell a system, if I'm already picking the system up, that's definitely something that I want to buy. So it's definitely a good game to pick up and play with friends if you don't want to have just a single experience. If you're already buying the system as it is, if you're already picking up the system in a few games or a couple games, why not one of them be Super Bomberman R? I think that's a really good addition to the initial library. Is it a console seller? Is it something that's going to make anyone go out and buy the system for? No, I don't think so, but I do think it's cool to see Bomberman return in this style. Now, as far as actual launch day titles go, the heavy hitter is obviously Breath of the Wild. That is 100% a console seller, 100% the reason people would go out and buy the system, but the biggest issue everyone was having in the comment section last week, and obviously the biggest issue everyone is having around that in general, it's not something that I learned via the comments last week, it's a given, it's coming out on the Wii U. So is that a console seller? I still personally think it is. I am a huge Nintendo fanboy, obviously, I'm very, very open about that. I love Nintendo. A lot of people say you shouldn't buy a system on launch in case it breaks because you never know what issues it's gonna have. But with the Wii U, I never had an issue with the Wii U. In fact, I've never had an issue with the day one system. So I feel like I'm at least on a hot streak and I'm good to keep buying them on day one. And I bought a lot of systems on day one. But also with the Wii U, if it did break, they were fixing it for you. And sure, you would go for a couple weeks without your system while you sent it off and had it fixed or had it replaced or anything like that. But if I didn't buy it, I wouldn't have it at that time period anyway. So whether or not I was gonna get the system fixed or it was gonna be fine, buying the actual system on release day is not an issue as far as a technical standpoint. So I was always gonna pick this up on launch, assuming that I had something to play on it. And I do, I have Breath of the Wild, Bomberman R, possibly 1-2 Switch if I'm feeling adventurous, but I'm at least gonna have Breath of the Wild. And I would actually love to have this game on both systems just for the collecting standpoint of things. So why for me personally do I want to play it on the Switch? Why do I and a bunch of other people want to buy this system just for Breath of the Wild? Well, when you're a fanboy, or when you love Nintendo, when you love Zelda, you want to have the best experience possible. And I know a lot of people don't care. A lot of people, when it comes down to it, they just want to play a fun game. They don't care how it looks, how it runs. If the gameplay is great, the gameplay is great. And I get that. And honestly, I'm the same way. A game can look terrible to me, and if it's fun to play, I'll pick it up and play it. I don't care how bad it looks. If it's legitimately fun to play, I'll play it. If you have a game that really the same to play, it plays the same, it's just as fun, but it looks so much better, even twice as better, I'm always going to want to play it looking a little better. I mean, it's 2017. I want things to look as good as they can and run as good as they can. So for me, I want the best experience with that Zelda game that I can get. Zelda games for me, I grew up on Zelda. The experiences I get from Zelda transcends gaming. It's not just picking up a new release game and having a great time, but I can sit down and play this Zelda and I can have the same experience I had when I was 13, 12, 10 years old. I mean, as long as you're going out and playing this new Zelda in whichever way you're doing it, I'm happy, I'm ecstatic. More people that play Zelda, more people that pick this game up, no matter which system, the better. But for me personally, if I'm gonna play it, hell, I get a new Nintendo experience, I get a new system experience, I get a new video game experience, I get a new Zelda experience, I get a lot of new experiences, and that's gonna be a really big day for me in gaming. Okay, so I know I talked about Zelda for a while there because I felt like I kind of had to justify why that was a selling point for the system, which again, I know not everyone will agree with, and that's fine. Now, those are the launch games in North America. Now, I do want to mention that this is region free. If you really wanted to, you could import the launch games from Japan, which is Dragon Quest Heroes 1 and 2, Nobunaga's Ambition, sorry if I butchered this title, but Disgaea 5, sorry, Puyo Puyo Tetris, and Romance of the Three Kingdoms 13. For the Switch in Japan, Zelda doesn't sell as well as it does here in North America or in Australia or places like that. It doesn't sell as well over there in Japan, so they had to push more than just that, because when that's really the only thing selling the system over here, they needed to make sure they had some Jap RPGs, they had some RPG action going over there to sell the systems. It is region free, you can pick them up. I'm not sure if they'll be translated into English, I highly doubt it, because all these games will eventually have an English release in North America and everywhere else in the world. But if you can speak Japanese, or if you don't mind playing in Japanese, then they are games that you can import, but I mean, they also have to be mentioned because people might be watching this in Japan. There are other launch titles for this system, and there has been more effort put into selling this system than what we're seeing here in North America. There's a whole nother thing happening over in Japan. So those are the launch titles for like the day one. And then later in spring, we have ARMS, and then we have, on April 28th, we have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Edition, which honestly, I think that's gonna sell really well. It's included battle mode, which I don't know why the original didn't have that. I don't know if you guys know, but I actually found this out today. My buddy Sean Long from Retro Gaming Tube 85 told me that Mario Kart 8 sold 8.5 million copies when the Wii U system only sold 13 million copies. That's crazy unheard of. That was good. I don't know how that happened, other than the fact that Mario Kart 8 was really the first game after about a year and a half of waiting for games to come out on the Wii U. That was the first big fun game that everyone wanted to pick up. So I think everyone was just desperate to buy something, and that game sold. That game sold really crazy well. So I would be surprised if this deluxe version doesn't sell as well, and that's only coming a month after launch. Well, 2 months after launch, really, because it's late April, but. And then again in March, we have Has Been Heroes, which is a GameStop exclusive, which I think it's really cool that GameStop's making a game for this. They made Song of the Deep, which was I actually really like Song of the Deep, and if you haven't played it, that was a really fun game. It's sort of like Metroidvania style, Super Metroid type game. I would recommend checking that one out. So I'm excited to play this one by GameStop, which is really weird to say, but I think it looks pretty cool. And then later we get Puyo Puyo Tetris in spring, but then summer and beyond, and this is all still in 2017, we have Splatoon 2, Mario Odyssey, Ultra Street Fighter 2, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Sonic Mania, the new Shin Megami Tensei, Fire Emblem Warriors. So we got all of that coming in the first year in 2017. I know it's not a launch title, I know it's not something to go pick up on day one, but if you really want to play Zelda, if you really want to play Super Bomberman R, and you really want to play 1-2 Switch, or I Am Setsuna, or any of that, and it's worth you going out and picking up this system for those alone, you know that in at least the first year, you're gonna get all these games. That was something really scary with the Wii U launch, and we'll get into that in a second, but when I bought a Wii U on launch, I had no idea when any of these games were coming out, if these games were coming out, and I definitely wasn't told they were coming out in the first year, and I definitely didn't hear about as many games as we're hearing about right now. The Wii U was a much riskier buy. At least you know right now, if you buy the Switch on launch for whatever game you want to play, even if it's just Breath of the Wild, you will have games later in the year to play. You have security in the fact that you at least have these games. And again, that security is a console seller in itself, because you know at least for $300, you're gonna get Xenoblade Chronicles 2, you're gonna get Mario Odyssey, you're gonna get the new Splatoon, which if you like Splatoon, it was pretty cool. If you like Street Fighter, you get a new old school Street Fighter. For me personally, I'm gonna spend a lot of time playing Skyrim on the Switch. I know I'm probably in the minority here, but Skyrim is a game that I just completely missed out on. It was something that I picked up when it came out. It was too much, it was overwhelming for me at the time. There was too much going on to invest time in this game. And then I felt like it was always too late to pick up on it. I'm gonna be really excited to play games on this system in general. I'm gonna wanna play Skyrim. You can play the new Fire Emblem Warriors in the first year. There's a lot of stuff coming in the first year is essentially what I'm saying. So let's compare this to the Wii U. The Wii U had a lot more launch titles for sure, but they were mostly third-party games. Like we had Assassin's Creed 3, that had already come out. Call of Duty Black Ops 2, no one was playing that on Wii U. We had Darksiders 2 had already come out. Disney Epic Mickey 2 had already come out. Just Dance 4, it's whatever. Mass Effect 3, we had NBA 2K13, which is kind of really rare now actually. But again, we had Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge. So you kind of see, it was all third-party games that either had already come out or like re-edition, like the new Batman. It was the old Batman game, but it had some stuff added to it for the Wii U. So sure, it had third-party support at the start. Sure, it had more physical launch titles, but they were all ports and they were all upgraded versions of older games, which honestly didn't look too much better, if they even look better at all, to the 360 and the PS3 version. So there was no real reason to go and pick any of these up. And if you're a hardcore gamer, chances are you already finished all these games anyway. I mean, Mass Effect 3, at the same time Mass Effect 3 came out for the Wii U, it was $60. At the same time as that, the Mass Effect Trilogy was released on PS3 and Xbox 360 for the same price. So you could go out and you could buy Mass Effect Trilogy for $60, or you could go out and you could buy Mass Effect 3 on Wii U for $60. It didn't make sense. The only things that were exclusives for the Wii U was Zombie U, Super Mario Bros. U, and then Nintendo Land, which was the pack-in game obviously. So really, as far as going out and buying a game, you had Mario Bros. U and Zombie U. So we can take that, we can compare Mario Bros. U and Zombie U to Breath of the Wild, Bomberman R, and 1-2 Switch. I think Bomberman R and Breath of the Wild and even 1-2 Switch beat Zombie U, Super Mario Bros. U, and Nintendo Land. I really liked Zombie U. I really appreciated Zombie U. I thought it was a really fun game. Most people didn't, so clearly that wasn't a console seller for anyone. I really liked it. I thought it was a fun game. I pick it up every now and then, and I still play it on Halloween and stuff like that whenever I feel like trying to do a no-death run of that game. I thought it was cool, but it wasn't a console seller, and it wasn't an amazing game. Ubisoft worked well within the confines of the system, and they made something cool that used the gimmicks of the Wii U pad pretty well. Mario Bros. U, we had the 3DS versions of those games coming out. We had 25 years of history with Mario Bros. U. It wasn't anything new. I mean, it's not like you are missing out on anything. You could wait to play that game because we all played that game 100 times over. Sure, it had some nice additions, but essentially all those games are the same, just a little bit upgraded. They look a little better. It's not Breath of the Wild. So you had those three games, which would have been the heavy hitters. And then after that, we had Lego City Undercover, really super fun game, in July. The console came out in November. The next release was July. The next release for the Switch, what did I say it was? Mario Kart 8 for April. So we know we're getting another game in April. As far as a newer game, we get ARMS in spring. We get Has Been Heroes in March, the same month it comes out. So we know right now of 2 or 3 cool games that are coming out in the first couple months. But the Wii U had Lego City Undercover in July, which is like 7 months later. Would anyone else get the Wii U on launch and remember waiting for games to come out? Then we had Super Luigi U, which came out in June before that, which is essentially the same as, it was just a different version of the game that came out on launch day, which took 6 months to come out after that. I'm getting angry thinking about it again, I apologize. We had Pikmin 3 come out in July as well. Pikmin 3 was incredible. Pikmin 3 was supposed to come out way earlier than it did, but if I recall correctly, Nintendo had never worked with a HD system before. They never had to make games in 720 or 1080p, and they didn't know how, they couldn't build it. They didn't know what they were doing. And that's why it took so long, because they couldn't figure out how to take their game and put it on their new system and have it look the way it was supposed to look. So it set them back months and months and months, which is why we waited so long for that game. So we waited 8 months to get Lego City on the cover and Pikmin 3. And then after that, after July, we had to wait another 6 months for Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze in February 2014. And then Mario Kart 8 came out in May 2014. Almost 2 years later, we're getting 2 AAA titles from Nintendo on the system. And in that time, we had 2 other decent games, 2 good games, Pikmin 3 and Lego City on the cover. So there was no security in that console at all at launch. For 2 years after, in the time that you finally had those games, when you finally had Lego City, you finally had Pikmin, Donkey Kong, Mario Kart 8, New Super Mario Bros. Wii U, and Zombie U, 2 years for all that to come out. Right now for the Switch, we're getting Breath of the Wild, Super Bomberman R, Am Setsuna if you want to count it digital, ARMS, Mario Kart 8, Has Been Heroes, Splatoon 2, Mario Odyssey, Ultra Street Fighter 2, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Skyrim, third party I know, but it's still something decent to play. We didn't really have any decent third party games that are worth playing for the Wii U. Fire Emblem Warriors, Shin Megami Tensei, Sonic Mania is coming out for the system as well. So, and that's all within the first, what, 6 months, 7, 8 months? I don't think there is a comparison between the Switch and the Wii U. I think it's very clear that the Switch has beaten the Wii U in all intents and purposes as far as when it comes to launch, at least the first year. Okay, so let's recap, because I kind of went off on a tangent now. I don't know why I got so aggressive about that. I'm not trying to say that the Switch is perfect, that the Switch's launch is perfect, that why aren't you going out and picking this up? It's so much better than the Wii U. It's so much better. Stop complaining. I'm not saying that at all, because while it is better than the Wii U, which is something that I think a lot of people have lost sight on, Nintendo had a really rough time with the Wii U, a really rough time, and now they're in this awkward position of not having really the resources or the whereabouts or really knowing what they should do with the Switch. So it's not like they can come out day one with a brand new Zelda and a brand new Mario and a brand new Metroid. I'm sure they're trying to play it safe and conservative at the same time. So while they are doing that, the Switch's launch and the Switch's lineup for the initial day one, I believe, is better, but definitely for the first 6 months is way better than the first 2 years of the Wii U. And a lot of people, I think that maybe that's why I get so passionate about it, is because I see a lot of people saying that Switch is a dead system, the Switch is like a Wii U 2, the Switch is they're making the same mistakes they made with the Wii U. They're not. I'm not saying they're doing anything perfect, I'm not saying they couldn't do anything better. I know I'm defending it now with the marketing and with the launch titles, but I honestly believe they're doing a better job. They're doing a much better job. Their marketing is better, the system is better, it's more user-friendly, it's more software programming friendly, it's everything friendly. There is more than enough at the end of the year, by Christmas time, which by the way, that's when it matters. It's gonna sell a lot right now, sure, but then come Christmas, what's everyone gonna want? What are kids gonna want? What are adults gonna want? They're gonna want, by that point, when Christmas hits, they're gonna want the Switch, because they're gonna wanna play Splatoon, Mario Odyssey, Ultra Street Fighter, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Skyrim, Sonic Mania, Shin Megami Tensei, Fire Emblem Warriors, Has Been Heroes, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, ARMS, the new Zelda, if they haven't got a Wii U or if they haven't played it yet, Super Bomberman R, maybe 1-2 Switch, hell, maybe even Just Dance 2017. I haven't mentioned Binding of Isaac, probably because it's like a port. You're telling me that by Christmas this year, there's not gonna be at least 3 games that people are gonna wanna play on the Switch if they have any interest in picking up the Switch in the first place? By Christmas, this is gonna outsell the Wii U in its first year for sure. They're doing everything the best that they can. Yes, they haven't got everything on launch. I don't think it'd be a good idea to blow everything they have planned on launch, but they're doing as well as they can. So, I'm gonna wrap this up now because I've blabbed on for a little while, but what do you guys think? Is the Switch doing a better job than the Wii U as far as the launch titles go? And a follow-up question is, do you see yourself buying a Switch in the first year? And if so, what games are you gonna pick up for it? What games are you excited for to pick up with your Switch when you do eventually get one? But that's my video on launch games between the 2 systems. And remember to hit that like button if you like the games that are coming out on launch. And remember, if you don't like the games that are coming out on launch for the Switch, hit that like button anyway, because just like last week, it really helps me out. I really appreciate it, guys. And I will see you next, what day is it today? Saturday? I'll see you on Monday. Videos every Monday, Tuesday. Videos every Monday, Wednesday. So It's on the new banner. I made a new banner and it has the days I make videos now, so go check it out. Thank you guys.